Happy Saturday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Stitching. Now, I don't have a lot of stitching because I didn't get a lot done this past week, so I'll get all the fiber related content out of the way for the few who don't belong to me who just showed up for the yarn, and then we'll get to the chatty part, which is what my daughters are waiting for. So let's get the stitchy stuff out of the way. The only thing that I finished this week is a testament, is an object that is a testament to my lack of estimation skills. Okay, last episode, I believe I mentioned that I bought some of the new Red Heart Scrubby yarn. See? In tan. Okay, and it has about 145 yards in this ball. Okay, now I have a ball of Lion Brand kitchen cotton, which has 182 yards, and I'm pretty sure I I can only get maybe two or three dishcloths out of that. So I thought I would only get two or three dishcloths out of this, since this is less yardage than that. Okay, so the only thing I finished is my first dishcloth, which is this. I don't know if you can tell by the way it's hanging, but it is wet. Okay, because I actually used it. I've been using it in the kitchen for the last couple days to see if I could see if it was going to work, because I haven't used dishcloths, handmade dishcloths, in a long time. But I just had the urge to make them after using the cotton for the pot holders. I wanted to have a few things in the kitchen that were something I made myself. So I got the scrubby cotton and I made that to replace this, which is, your standard sponge. I think you get them in a pack, $3 or $4 at the dollar store. I don't know. My husband does all the shopping. I don't even know how much these sponges cost anymore. But I do know that after a while, they work fine, but after a while, this part, which is supposed to be the scrubby part, kind of wears out and then you throw them away. So I bought the scrubby cotton hoping that it would be an alternative that would last longer and that I could throw in the washing machine, so possibly would be more economical. But the scrubby cotton is I think I paid $4.69 for this ball, and so I thought, oh, if I'm only getting two dishcloths out of this, that's not very economical, because I can get the non-scrubby kitchen cotton for like $1 if it's on sale at if Michael's is having the sale, you can get it for $1. If it's not on sale, most places have it for $2. So I thought this is not economical. But this dishcloth, as I showed you before, which works, by the way, very well. I put it through its paces. I wiped counters, and I cleaned out the stainless steel sink, and I washed a few bowls with it that had some gunk stuck in them, and it works just fine. And it works just as good as the sponge. And as I don't know if you can tell from the last time I got it, but this is still dense. This is not a hollow ball. This is still dense. I made like no dent in this ball at all, because it feels like a thick yarn. It looks like a thick yarn, but it's kind of thin. I don't know if you can see that. It's sort of thin, but with all the little things that hang off of it to make it scrubby, you still have to knit it or crochet it like a worsted weight to kind of make room for the scrubby things. So I feel like I could. I don't normally knit rectangular ones. I did that one just to see if I could make a rectangle because I hadn't done it before. So, and it's the grandma's favorite pattern, except it's in favorite dishcloth, except in a rectangle. Very Pink Knits did a video on it on YouTube and has a written pattern on how to do it in a rectangle instead of a square. So, but it's the traditional dishcloth pattern that everybody's familiar with, and you don't want to waste your time doing anything other than the traditional pattern, because if you try to do any kind of fancy stitch, like a lot of people use dishcloths to practice their fancy stitches, it's a waste in the scrubby yarn. You just want to make a plain rectangle. Don't even try to tell the difference between garter stitch and stockinette, because you can't tell. You just want to make a plain rectangle or a plain square and be done with it. And I don't make very big squares, so I think out of this ball, uh, again, my estimation skills are not good, because I thought I'd only get two out of this, but I might, not counting the one I already did, I might be able to get four more small squares out of this, because I don't do big ones. Just enough, maybe the size of my palm, a little bit bigger. I don't do big ones. But, and even though I don't estimate, well, I just finished telling you I'm not good at judging how much yarn I have left. Here I am playing yarn chicken with this, trying to make a stockinette stitch dishcloth, cast on 38 stitches, which is what I've got in my hands right now. I'm making a dishcloth. It's a basic stockinette stitch with a little picture that's made in pearls. Um, the pattern is from a bunch of Doctor Who patterns that Holy Narf Crafts, I know it's a weird name, Holy Narf Crafts has on her website. You can find it on Ravelry under the name The Angels Have the Blue Box. So it's got, if you're a Doctor Who fan, then you know it's supposed to be the TARDIS and the Weeping Angel in front of it. I'm doing this for my friend Terry, who, as I said last week, this is still her yarn I'm working with that I feel bad that I haven't done anything with. So I am trying to use it up down to the very last yard. And so with this small ball, I was trying to figure out, okay, what can I make to use up this last little bit? So I'm hoping that I can squeeze out that one last dishcloth. But again, I could be wrong. My skills of estimation are not good. The only, so that's it for the FO for this week. And my other whips, if you watched my last couple episodes, my other whips, no progress on them. I have not worked on any of the Afghans. Um, Last weekend, when I spent a girls' weekend with my BFF Terry, I taught her how to crochet, because apparently she used to buy little kitchen scrubbies from a lady at the flea market, and I can't remember if she said that the lady at the flea market doesn't isn't there anymore, or if her sister-in-law, who was the one who actually would go to the flea market and get them and bring them back for everybody, the sister-in-law has moved away, so maybe they don't know which lady to go to. I don't know. But she decided, after years of looking askance at my needlework, she decided that she wants to learn how to crochet so that she could make these scrubbies. So I'm thinking that she wanted one of those fancy spiral, because she didn't have any more of the scrubbies because her last one wore out. So I'm like, I'm thinking she wanted one of these fancy Tawashi ones that are in the spiral, you know, type thing, or something that was made out of netting or something like that. So she finally had her mother-in-law take a picture, because her mother-in-law still had one left. Her mother-in-law took a picture, and it was just a basic crocheted circle. Kind of like you do if you're making flowers in a granny square. Make the magic loop, double crochet into it 12 times. Next round, do two double crochets in each double crochet all the way around, and then you've got your scrubby. Make two rounds like that, two circles like that with 3 rounds each, and then put them back to back and crochet them together, and that's your scrubbing. That's what she wanted. Simplest thing in the world. So that's what I taught her how to do last weekend. So, and I made one myself because you know, I I wasn't even following a pattern, which my daughters know is very odd for me. I don't do anything without a pattern. But I felt bold because she was looking at me like I know all things knit and crochet. So I was like, oh, that's simple. And then inside I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But I looked at it and I just off I went and I made it and it turned out fine. So I was surprised at myself. And I even told her, I admitted it because at this age I've decided I'm not going to pretend that I know how to do things if I don't know how to do things. After I got it done, I was like, okay, I'm glad that worked out because I don't usually do anything without a pattern. So I'm surprised I remembered how to do that off the top of my head. But so that's it for FOs. The only other fiber talk I have is I wanted to mention a couple patterns that I've been thinking of adding to my list. I'm still thinking because I don't have the yarn for them yet or anything. But one is called the Worsted Boxy. I think the designer's name is Jojo Locatelli. I'm probably saying that wrong. I heard it mentioned on another um, knitting vlog that I've discovered called Just One More Thing. She's knitting one for her daughter, and she mentioned it like, it's the hot thing that everybody's making. But of course, I've never heard of it because I'm so out of the loop. Back the last time I was in the knitting loop was when people were still making the wonderful wallaby or the rambling rose afghan or the clapotis scarf, and that's years ago. But the worsted boxy is a pullover sweater. I'll put the link in the notes in the bottom. um, it's a and it's very, as the name suggests, it's very boxy. So just hugging, instead of hugging your waist, it comes down in a box shape. So it just kind of skims over your waist. So I'm sorry, I'm scratching my nose, but I am sweating because there is no air going on in here. So I figured the boxy. I want to make a sweater for myself. I want to make more than one sweater for myself, but I'm still trying to figure out what my very first project would be. And since I want to revamp my wardrobe and kind of get back into the style that was more comfortable for me now that I'm not in an office job, get back into the kind of style that was more comfortable for me back in the 90s. And yes, I know they say if you wore it once, you shouldn't wear it again. So I wore leggings in my 20s and my 30s, so I probably shouldn't wear them again. But you know what? I don't care. I have one pair of leggings left that are bleach stained, so I can't really wear them out of the house. But I look better in those leggings in a large tunic style shirt than I do in half the stuff in my closet. So I've decided that's part of a style that I want to go back to is big, not huge, because I know that super huge clothes make a plus size gal like me look even fatter. And even though I do have a little bit of a tummy pouch in front, I do have a curve to the side on my waist, and I do like to show that off. So I don't want to make my tops super huge, but the issue I have is that tops that fit nice on the side tend to stop at my behind because my hips don't go out so much like this, but in the back my behind goes out. You know, the butts that the girls are getting implants for I come by naturally. So I don't want a top that's just sitting over that shelf. I want something that's going to kind of skim, and I think that box will be a good choice for that. The other pattern that I have been thinking about is not a pattern that I it's a recent pattern created by another knitting vlogger. Um, and her show is called The Crochet Corner. And she just makes up stuff. She is so young. She's like 19, I think. And she just makes up stuff. I just can't. I just can't. She says that reading patterns is not her thing, so she just makes up stuff. And I am so the total opposite of this girl, but I still like watching her channel because I do everything. I got to follow a pattern for everything. You know, you would think that I need a line on the floor to direct me to the bathroom, considering how much I have to follow directions. But she made up a Pokeball granny square, and made up an Afghan full of those granny squares. And my daughters know I made some Pokeballs earlier, hacky sack style Pokeballs earlier this year. And so the Pokemon Afghan appeals to me. Now I know I'm already working on their other Afghans. So I know I got to get the Avatar Legend of Korra Afghans done first. And then I have an Afghan that I need to make for my son, the Deadpool Afghan. I know that's on the slate too, but I can't help it. That Pokeball Afghan just appeals to me because I know I can knock those squares out in no time at all. But luckily, I don't have the colors on hand because I used up all my Pokeball colors, the red and the white, because those aren't colors I buy a whole lot of. I used those up already, making the Pokeballs I already had. So if I was going to make the Pokeball Afghan, I'd have to go buy more yarn. And I really can't bring myself to buy more yarn until I make a big dent in the projects that I already have on needles. And so that's why I I'm just thinking about those two patterns. They're not on my list yet. Okay, so according to my little notes here, that is all I have to say about yarn and knitting and some such. So you got about 15 minutes of stitchy content. And so if you want to hang around for the chatting, you can. If not, I'll see you next Saturday. Okay, now for everybody who's still hung around, first off, oh, I have got to, you'll have to excuse me. I can't take it. I can't take it. Oh, it is so hot in here because I turned off. We've gotten up into the 80s now, which means my bedroom up here is almost 90. So this number one may be the last time I do a video up here. I like doing it up here because I have the nice plain wall back here that, makes my house look like it's not a hot mess, but I, it's hot up here. It's cooler downstairs even without the air conditioner on. And I have a unit up here that I can turn on, but it's so loud, and usually I say I don't care because I watch other people's videos and they complain about, or they don't complain, but they say, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me if you hear the fan in the back, or excuse me if you hear the lawnmower outside my window, or excuse me if you hear the motorcycle going down the street. And honestly, I don't ever hear any of it. So I don't really care. But I didn't want to take that chance because this air unit is so loud that I wouldn't even be able to hear myself talk. So I didn't want to risk it. So this little chatty section is going to be quick. Um, all I wanted to chat about was I mentioned the Charlotte Hippie Fest the last time I made a video. And so that's where I went last weekend with your Aunt Terry. And it was fun, although it seems like it should have another name, like the hippie yard sale or the hippie flea market or something, because there were two stages where people sang music, like from the 60s and the 70s, and there was a lot of tie-dye shirts, and there was, several food trucks, and there were a few like performers like jugglers and stilt walker type things and stuff, but the bulk of it was shopping. There were either people getting massages, or the categories were either you had soaps, lotions, essential oils, lots of stands with those, handmade jewelry, um, clothing. There were several with the crocheted halter tops. So there were some crocheted halter tops. There were some hippie skirts. There were some dashikis out there. All things that were, nothing that would fit a big girl like me, even if I was in the market to buy. There were a few people out there who had there were like maybe three people we ran across who had crocheted like amigurumi dolls and toys, that sort of thing. There was some, but it was a lot. It was a lot of lotion, a lot of soap, a lot of essential oils. Um, some people had some homemade sauces. I bought I bought some chow chow. I bought some sleepy tea for your father, and I bought some shea butter from a nurse who makes her own shea butter mixes with the rosemary oil and whatever for your father and I to share. So that's all that I bought besides buying an expensive Korean rice bowl that I stood in line for an hour. But it was fun. I'd like to go and do it again. Um, I was hoping to see somebody possibly with some hand dyed yarn. I know it was Hippie Fest and not a yarn festival, but I thought, the same do it yourself, make your own type aesthetic. So I thought there might be somebody with some hand dyed yarn. And there was one person, but the cup she only had a little tiny bit, like maybe four skeins, and the colors were very like they looked like bubble gum, and I they looked like candy. The colors were just not my colors, not enough to make me buy. Um, but but it was fun. The three tips that that Terry and I both decided on were, if we do this again next year, were to bring our own snacks in our bag, because standing in that line for an hour for the food, which was okay, but to stand in line for $9 to pay $9 for a small bowl of food, and it was just the wait. I don't even mind the $9 because I don't even mind the $9, but to wait an hour and spend $9 just felt ridiculous. Um, so bring snacks in the bag. Wear sunscreen, because I don't know if you can see, but my face got a little bit darker since the last video, and I just got over all my nose and my whole upper lip area, and my forehead and my temples over here were just, the skin up here is still sensitive, but not as bad. I mean, it was actively burning on Sunday and Monday, and the burning stopped around Tuesday or Wednesday. But see, now my lip is tingling now from where I just rubbed across it to talk about. But my skin was peeling, and I know I've gotten sun burn when we've gone on vacation, when we've gone on our cruises, but this is the first time I don't remember ever having sunburn this bad. Where my nose was so red Saturday night. I looked like one of those old man drunks that you see, those old man winos that you see on cartoons or something where their noses get super red. It was awful. It was awful. And my skin felt like my skin on my nose felt like alligator skin. And most of it finally peeled off yesterday, although I still have little remnants up here that hopefully you can't see in the video. So definitely I need to wear sunscreen next time. And I forgot what the third thing was. We kept saying the three things over and over. Oh, go early, which we already did. We did. We went early. The thing started at 10 and it was only 15 minutes from Aunt Terry's house in Concord. So we got there early. We got there early, so we enjoyed most of it before it really started to get crowded. But I would definitely do it again. It was very nice to get out of the house because your mother is starting to turn into a bit of a hermit, not really going places. And so it was nice. And I haven't, even though Aunt Terry only lives about an hour away, it's been almost 4 years since I've been to her house, which is ridiculous. It's been 4 years since we've done more than email or text each other, which is just ridiculous. So we made plans to see each other more often, and we definitely need to do that. Um, but other than that, I can't think of anything else that I wanted to talk to you guys about. The Hippie Fest was the big thing that has happened for me this week. Um, I will try to do better, to have more to show on my needlework next week, and I want to try to do some book reviews to put up on the channel as well, but I don't know if I'll get around to that. My semester is almost done. I have one more I have one more project that I have to do for my English class, and then I'm done for the semester. I don't think I'll be taking classes this summer because I don't think I have the money for it. So the summer will be free. So hopefully that means I can do more videos, do more book reviews on my book blog, and get more knitting and crocheting done. Because it's that balance that we've talked about before. I want to do more knitting and crocheting. I want to do more writing on my blog. I want to brush up my coding skills because that is what I went to school for, but I feel like it's all starting to dribble out of my ears. And I want to do more housework. Want to get this house in better shape, which I don't really have the energy for, but I want to get the house in better shape. So trying to find the time to do all of those things and balance how much time I'm going to spend on one thing and how much time I'm going to spend on another thing, because I tend to get into one thing and then really get stuck in it and then ignore everything else. And so I need to figure out a way to make myself balance and do a little bit of each thing each day, or maybe one day will be devoted to, like today, since I finished my paper 3 days early. It's not due till Sunday, but I finished it on Thursday, and then yesterday I did some computer work for your Aunt Kelly. So today I've devoted to making my video, and I devoted to making my video and to doing some needlework and some housework. So, and Sunday I'm still trying to keep as my reading day. So, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I thought this video was going to be 15 minutes and it's rounding up on 30 minutes. So, I will see you next week for another Saturday Stitching. Bye.